everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm very happy to have you guys here. Today I want to give you an update on some fragrances that I have reviewed here on my channel. To be more specific, I want to give you an update on Teriaq by Lattafa. And I want to let you know if I've noticed any changes once the fragrance got to sit. And I also want to give you an update on the Tiramisu collection from Zimaya. I have here Tiramisu Caramel and Tiramisu Coco that I've reviewed again a few months ago. I think this is the third episode in the Maceration series, call it however you want. And I also want to give you an update on this fragrance Captive from Brecourt. And then after that, because I haven't added a lot of fragrances to the Maceration update, I also want to share my thoughts on some fragrances that I've tested. Let's just say one I've received, so I tested it to review it here on YouTube, but the others I've tested them more for myself. I have here a fragrance called Orange Blossom from Iluminum, a fragrance called Poivre Noir from Serge Lutens. Amazing fragrance for men if you love black pepper, a fragrance called Tullipe Noir from Atkinsons, and that's about it. So let's just start. Let's start with this fragrance from Lattafa with Teriaq Intense. Now, I have mentioned in the review that to me, even though it doesn't smell like Angel's Share, but it follows a similar recipe to Angel's Share. Take a boozy accord, add some spice, add some sticky fruity facets in the background and this dry molecular of a woody accord, and to me it's somewhat the same recipe. Now of course it doesn't smell straight up like Angel's Share, but it has changed the booze, keep the spice, keep the woody accord basically. Yeah, the opening is really nice. This cold boozy accord, I don't know, something like cognac, rum, something like this, with this deep sticky fruity facet in the background. I know this has listed plum liquor. Again, can't really tell you if it smells like plum liquor, but it does have a beautiful deep plummy facet, like a sticky dark plummy facet about it, paired with the boozy accord that feels quite cooling in the opening, paired with a lot of spice, you guys. So you have this beautiful spicy burst in the opening. Now my issue with the fragrance basically was the fact that on my skin, the woody accord felt a bit too dry and a bit too emphasized. I would have loved if the woody accord wouldn't have been so highlighted in the composition. Now, I still think the woody accord shines a lot. Definitely. It feels a little bit unnaturally dry in a way, and this dry quality almost feels like it cuts a little bit from the sweetness, from the spiciness in the dry down. But this is not a bad fragrance. Clearly, it's not a bad fragrance. It's a beautiful fragrance if you love spicy facets. Just keep in mind the woody accord. Now, I don't think the woody accord has evolved much since trying. I still feel like it smells very similar to how it smelled when I first tried it. But what I have noticed improving is the performance, you guys. I've tested it maybe 2 weeks ago. I've applied it on my skin. I did 2 sprays here on my wrist, and keep in mind, I cook at home a lot, I wash dishes, I wash my hands, you know, I wash myself, I take a shower, but the fragrance lasted more than 8 hours on my skin, and I was able to smell this fragrance even after I took a shower. So the performance for this fragrance has increased so much. This is a loud fragrance. This is a very strong fragrance. Dare I say, I find it even better performing than fragrances like Hamra, than the OG Teriaq, for instance. To me, that the base, that woody accord, paired with something almost like ambery with a dash of something balsamic, really gets to stick to the skin. And once it sticks to the skin, it doesn't leave. And again, keep in mind, fragrances don't last very well on my skin, so for me this was definitely something that stood out a lot, how long the fragrance lasted on my skin. Yeah, now these are my thoughts on this fragrance. If the woody accord wouldn't feel so highlighted, and not my problem, not that it's highlighted, because I love a good well done woody accord, it's just it feels a little bit too dry, and to me that dryness kind of takes away from the richness of the something slightly ambery, from the plummy facet, kind of takes away from the richness of those notes, from something a little bit vanillic. Yeah, but it's really nice what they did here. Of course, they took something that works. Again, I am not saying that this smells like Angel's Share, because I can already imagine someone in the comments will be like, oh my god, now everything that has a boozy accord smells like Angel's Share. Like I've mentioned in the video, in the review that I did for the fragrance, I don't think it smells like Angel's Share. I think it has a very similar recipe to Angel's Share, and they have tweaked different things here and there. Yeah, beautiful fragrance. Now, moving on to this fragrance, to Tiramisu Coco from Zimaya. I received this fragrance. Let me just arrange my test strips a little bit. So, I have received this fragrance from Zimaya a few months ago to share it, to test it and to share my thoughts on the fragrance with you here. Nothing to complain about the fragrance. The only thing is the performance was not the best, let's just say. I think both had average performance. But scent-wise, it smelled very beautiful, you guys. It smelled... This is for those who love photorealistic gourmand fragrances. Think everything you'd eat. Biscuits, ice cream, I don't know, like almond liqueur, something coffee like there. Then you have in the dry down this beautiful creamy melted vanilla ice cream with something honeyed almost, with a little bit of caramel. So the fragrance overall has a plethora of gourmand accents, and each specific gourmand accent feels extremely realistic, again photorealistic. So this is something I like, how affordable the fragrance is, yet at the same time how realistic they managed to make the gourmand accord feel. Now, I have actually noticed changes scent-wise in terms of this fragrance. So I remember in the opening, to me, it used to smell like everything biscuity, with something coffee-like, and I used to pick up an almond liqueur accord or something that smelled syrupy, licorice, almondy, with something almost of a honeyed undertone about it. Now to me, what has happened, the honey really started to shine. I think in the opening it's the honey with the almond liqueur that are the spotlight in this composition. In the opening part, the honey feels so warm, so syrupy, so rich. It almost feels sticky to the touch in a way. Like when I smell this fragrance, I can sense how sticky the honey accord is, even though I don't think they have listed the honey accord. But I definitely pick up something syrupy, warm, honey, very sweet, very gooey even, with that beautiful licorice, again, another syrupy accord, but this time it's a syrupy, licorice, almondy accord. Gentle biscuity facets in the background, but the coffee accord also started to shine so much. I definitely don't remember the coffee accord to be so strong. To me now, again, not to say that they smell alike, but if you've tried Intense Cafe from Montal, even more so Ristretto Intense Cafe from Montal, you know how they did the coffee there with the creamy vanilla. The creamy vanilla didn't feel overly sweet, overly gourmand leaning, but it just felt sweet and very round around the edges and quite dense. I pick up this combo here as well. So to me, it's in a way, it's the smell of coffee beans mixed with this creamy round around the edges sweet vanillic accord. And then on top, you add lots and lots of almond liqueur and lots of honey, like syrupy honey. You drizzle syrupy honey everywhere. Soft biscuity facets in the background, but the coffee truly started to shine. That beautiful honey facet, it's so present, like you cannot ignore it. And it adds this very interesting syrupy, sticky syrupy of an undertone to the composition. Yeah, surprisingly, I feel like the biscuity facet has toned down a little bit. I don't pick it up as much. But yeah, then it dries down into something quite similar. So this dries down into a creamy melted vanilla ice cream. To me, this is how it smells. Something a little bit sticky and caramel there, gentle syrupy honey-like accents, and that beautiful almondy licorice accord. Yeah, this starts off edible gourmand, develops into something even more of an edible gourmand, dries down into something that's an edible gourmand. It's for sure more of an acquired taste. You either love it or you don't. You either resonate with such different, complex, sweet accords, or you don't. I don't think there's a way to go around the sweetness of the fragrance. Again, it's not a cheap sweetness. It's a beautiful, photorealistic sweetness from all those different gourmand accords, but it is sweet, you guys. This is definitely sweet. I feel like in general, if you love the level of sweetness in Date Caramel from Paris Corner, if you love the level of sweetness in a Coffee Addict from Teodoro Scalottinis, and if you love those kind of scent profiles, so something a little bit darker but very sweet, something sticky there, I think this will be definitely your cup of tea as well. I don't think this is the kind of fragrance that some will gravitate to wear in a heat wave or during the heat wave. I think even as I'm smelling it now, and especially since that syrupy honey has started to develop so much, I genuinely think this is spring, autumn, winter, summer night out, maybe when it's a little bit more chilly outside, because I'm telling you, in a heat wave, and don't get me wrong, I love heavy fragrances and I love sweet fragrances, but in a heat wave, like when you have, I don't know, like 36, 38 degrees almost, and it feels like it's hard to breathe outside, this will feel even more in a way, it feels like a thick blanket of fragrance around you. Now, in terms of performance, I can say that I found significant changes. It does last more than the other one, Tiramisu Caramel. But the longevity, I don't think it has improved that much since I've had it. What I do think has improved, because it feels so syrupy and sticky and layered, and again, like I told you, different textures and facets of everything gourmand, in a way, kind of feels like a thick blanket of fragrance that's enveloping you when you spray this fragrance. Doesn't go past 6 hours and a half. I think it's maximum on my skin. Those are my thoughts on this fragrance, Tiramisu Coco. Moving on to Tiramisu Caramel, you guys. Now, this fragrance, in case you haven't watched the review, where to put the cap, I will just put it there. This fragrance is a twist on the DNA of Bianco Latte from Giardini di Toscana, a very popular fragrance, a fragrance with a lot of inspirations out there. Some are trying to be a spot-on inspiration, others have their own twist. Now, in the twist world, yeah, I guess it makes sense, this is the one that I think is the most beautiful. What they have added, so let me just spray it for the sake. I already know by heart how this fragrance smells like. Like, I could describe how this fragrance smells like with my eyes closed, but for the sake of the video, let me spray it. In the review, I've mentioned the fact that in the opening, for a brief minute, let's just say, it almost feels a little bit closed off, like you're leaning to smell it and it's almost like you're not able to pick up a match. It's almost like the scent bubble is closed off, but give it a few minutes and the scent bubble opens up. Now, here on paper, I have the same experience. The scent bubble feels quite closed off. You see how I did this? I can say that I was able to pick up a match in the air. Of course, I smelled it, but I feel like on my skin, it opens up much sooner. I feel like on my skin, I spray it, I don't know, I give it like 10-15 seconds for the alcohol to fade away. I lean in to smell it and I'm already able to pick up the beautiful honey facet and the milk accord. So yeah, honey, again, lots of honey, lots of milk, some tonka bean in the opening. As the fragrance evolves, the milk accord moves in the background, the honey accord tones a little bit down, the tonka again moves in the background, and you pick up a lot of caramel, and the kind of caramel that it's almost like you have one of those butterscotch caramels with a milky feeling. Scent-wise, I cannot say that I have noticed significant changes, honestly. To me, it smells pretty much identical to how it smelled when I first tried it and when I first started to wear it. Yeah. And also performance-wise, I can say that I've noticed significant changes. I don't think this goes past the 6-hour mark on my skin. Whereas, for instance, Eclair by Lattafa, I've noticed a significant improvement in the performance of that fragrance. But this, again, expect, from my experience, maximum 6 hours on your skin. But don't expect this to be one of the strongest inspirations out there. I'd say this is a good one if you don't like the tonka bean accent in Bianco Latte, and if overall you wanted something that smells like Bianco Latte but has a twist to Bianco Latte. Maybe you want something that will resemble the DNA of Bianco Latte, but you don't want to smell it like straight up or try to smell straight up like Bianco Latte, then this is a beautiful one to take into account. And again, if you love overall gourmand accents, photorealistic gourmand accents, so those are my thoughts on this fragrance. Now, let me mention this fragrance right here, Captive from Brecourt. You guys, I've mentioned this fragrance, maybe it was a few months ago. I feel like for the first time, this fragrance quickly became one of my signature fragrances. I have so much love and appreciation for this fragrance. Yeah, what I want to tell you, not that if I've noticed anything scent-wise or not, but I want to highlight this fragrance and I want to encourage you to test it. Get a sample, get a decant if you are looking for, this one I want to spray it on my skin. If you are looking for candied florals with a creamy milky base. So the opening is very floral, candied orange blossom, candied violets, because I also pick up something purple, and beautiful jasmine facets in the background, airy, warm, sunny jasmine. The floral feels rich, it feels present. It's a decadent floral for sure, but it doesn't have anything indolic, nothing heady, nothing green about it. So it's a sweet floral accord. Again, to my nose, orange blossom, candied violet, and jasmine. And in the background, you pick up a beautiful nutty almondy accord, but as the fragrance develops, it gets so creamy and milky and lactonic, but a different kind of lactonic. Think almond milk kind of lactonic, you know? So it's creamy milky with a nutty undertone about it. Add some vanilla in the mix that does round again the fragrance a little bit and does add some sweetness to the composition. Every time I smell this fragrance, it puts me in such a good mood. Like the perfumer, she created a masterpiece with this fragrance. I love it. I am already, me being me, when I love a fragrance so much, I am looking for ways to get a backup bottle for a decent price to have it in my collection, because I've used it quite a lot, you guys. As you can see, I've used it quite a lot. Cannot recommend it enough. As a reference, if you're based in Romania, now it's out of stock and I have even written them an email, but nobody replied to me. But anyways, if you're based in Romania, there's a website called perfumes.ro. I will add it here on the screen. That's where I purchased it from. Beautiful fragrance. Yeah. I am telling you, sometimes I go to my fragrance collection when I work and I just take this fragrance out along with some other fragrances and I just like to smell it. The way this fragrance makes me feel, it's so hard to put into words. Now, moving on to a fragrance, let me talk a bit about this fragrance from Atkinsons, Tullipe Noir. Now, from Atkinsons, of course, I've tried Would Save the Queen, Would Save the King, Pirates I've tried something Burlington. They have interesting names. Yeah, anyways, and I also have a sample of this fragrance. So I've tried a handful of fragrances from Atkinsons. I think the one that surprised me the most was Would Save the King. That's the one, but not enough to be like, oh my god, I need to have that fragrance in my collection. But nonetheless, beautiful fragrance. Pirates was interesting, but again, I liked how they did the woody accord. It almost felt like a barrel where you put alcohol in, you know what I mean? But back to Tullipe Noir, let me just put it there. Now this fragrance, let me give you a bit of context. When I was in high school, that's when I've smelled for the first time Jasmine Noir from Bulgaria. And back then, I didn't really feel like that fragrance suited my style, but I was always mesmerized by how magnetic I found that scent profile to be. How mysterious, how dark, how enchanting, how magnetic. And to me, when I smelled the opening of this fragrance, it gave me such a similar energy to Jasmine Noir. So you have this beautiful, decadent nighttime jasmine, the kind of jasmine that blooms at nighttime. I'm imagining it's pitch black outside under a full moon for some reason. You're near a jasmine bush, the kind of jasmine that blooms at nighttime. You lean in to smell the beautiful jasmine flowers and you get that intoxicating, bewitching jasmine scent. You get a little bit of the greenery from the bush and a little bit of the wood of the, I don't know how it's called in English, but I will add here on the screen. So as you lean in, you get a lot of the jasmine and a little bit of greenery, a little bit of that something woody. The opening of this fragrance sold me, you guys. When I smelled the opening, I was mesmerized by the opening. It's a very different energy to this one, Capti from Brecourt. This is soft and strong, this is feminine, this is playful, this is sensual. To me, this is sensuality and femininity in a bottle, but a very fluid energy in a way. I love it. This, to me, this is witchy, this is dark, this is witchy, this is enchanting, this is mysterious, this is pulling you in a way. Like in the opening, it's almost like it's pointless to look at the notes if you ask me, because at least for me, when I smelled it, I'm telling you what kind of image popped in my mind. Full moon, pitch black everywhere, besides that beautiful, soft yet present moonlight with jasmine flowers, with everything. Now, to me, where this fragrance kind of disappointed me was at the dry town, you guys. Yeah, I do pick up on Broxton, but if this fragrance, I'm still testing this fragrance, but if this fragrance would have maintained that bewitching, mysterious, nighttime, pitch black everything, moonlight, aura and mysticism that it had in the opening, I would have been sold. I would have been sold because I love the energy of this fragrance. Again, if you used to love back in the day before reformulation Jasmine Noir from Bulgaria, I would recommend you to test it. I have a decant of a fragrance that's supposed to be a dupe to Jasmine Noir. I think it's from Paris Corner. I received it for someone, but that person has it from Dubai collection. I think it's called Jasmine or Jasmine something. I don't know if it's in English or in French, but I will try to add it here on the screen. I am kind of looking for a fragrance similar to that. Beautiful, bewitching fragrance. Mysticism in a bottle in the opening. But after that, yeah, I don't know. I would have preferred the scent to be linear, honestly, if you ask me. I would have preferred the scent to be linear. It is very beautiful, don't get me wrong. Like the scent profile, it's, at least for me, very beautiful. It pulls me closer. It has this, I don't know, I feel a connection towards this fragrance in a way, but I do not really like the dry down. I haven't tested it yet on my clothes to see how I feel about the dry down on my clothes, but the dry down on my skin, it's mainly ambroxan. So think something dry molecular and woodsy pair with soft jasmine facet with something a little bit green. In a way, kind of maintains the notes composition that I also picked up in the opening, but they lose the body, they lose that round around the edges full rich effect they had. Anyways, so moving on to the next fragrance, Poivre Noir, which means black pepper in French, if I'm not mistaken, from Serge Lutens. Now, this fragrance, this is only for men. Even though this is listed as a unisex, I don't care. I would never wear such a fragrance, but it's a very beautiful creation from the house. Arguably, does it follow the Serge Lutens direction? Is this something you haven't met? Haven't smelled? Is this something, I don't know, that shocks your senses? Is this something that's very edgy and creative and different? I don't know about that, but I can tell that if you love black pepper, I don't know if you can find another fragrance that puts in the spotlight such a well-constructed, vivid, photorealistic black pepper accord. It's almost like in the opening you just, I don't know, grounded lots and lots and lots of fresh black pepper, and by some mistake you lean in and you smell them too close and now it tingles your nose and you sneeze and everything. But in a fragrance format, and much more attractive. Much more attractive. Let me not even sugarcoat. I find this DNA very attractive on a man. And surprisingly, it evolves quite different on paper versus on skin. Yeah, lots of black pepper. It almost feels cold, refreshing. It's very interesting. It has this cooling shower gel facet about it, but then you add lots and lots and lots of freshly grounded black pepper. So think spicy, think refreshing, think energizing, think waking up. That's the kind of effect the black pepper has in the opening, with something spicy and green in the background. I know they have listed nutmeg. I can kind of see that. I can kind of see a little bit of spicy nutmeg, but also something a little bit green. So think lots of freshly grounded black pepper, a little bit of powdered nutmeg, then something spicy and green in the background, but make it very cooling, make it very cold, make it very refreshing and revigorating, and very masculine, you guys. This fragrance exudes masculinity. To me, this is masculinity in a bottle. Now, you need to love spices. If you don't love spices, like if you love the black pepper accord in This Is Him from Zadig and Voltaire, now imagine multiplied by 5 times, let's say, you know, because that's pretty strong to begin with, but this is much more vivid, much more realistic. It almost feels like, I don't know, like by some mistake you've inhaled some black pepper, like some freshly grounded black pepper. This has something so masculine and manly and rough about it, but the kind of roughness that, at least for someone like me, it's attractive in a masculine fragrance and it's attractive on a man. Definitely that rough, manly aura about it, for sure. It's not the smoothest, well-rounded around the edges, everything in moderation, not to this, not to that, not to the third. No, this is loud, this is bold, but this is elegantly sporty at the same time. Like, I have never tried a fragrance that could be such a sporty fragrance, but then such an elegant fragrance at the same time. I don't know how they managed to do it. Maybe it's because of the spicy facet, but it's really nice. Yeah, very attractive if you ask me, and quite different. Again, not to say that I know a lot of things about masculine fragrances, because I haven't. My knowledge when it comes to men's fragrances is not the best. I know a lot of unisex fragrances, I know feminine fragrances. Masculine fragrances, I can describe them. I know for sure what I smell inside. I know how to describe them. I know how they make me feel. I know if I enjoy them on my partner or not. But I do really enjoy how this fragrance smells, like explosion of spicy facets, black pepper, a little bit of nutmeg, this icy, cold, cooling, refreshing shower gel facet, and a dry yet rich and very dark of a woodsy accord. And I was also so surprised to see how versatile this fragrance is. Like, when I close my eyes and I think about this fragrance, this is the kind of fragrance that, as a man, I don't know, you're going to play football with your friends, with your buddies. That's the kind of fragrance you can do 1 or 2 sprays of. You come home, you take a shower, you go on a date night with your partner. You could just apply this fragrance again because it works in so many different situations. So it's a very versatile fragrance if you ask me. So moving on, let's continue with this fragrance with Love-O-Matic from room 1015. Now they sent me this fragrance, and the whole campaign and the idea behind this fragrance is to create a fragrance that smells like, I'm not really sure how you pronounce them in English, but laundromats, I think. And it's crazy, you guys, because when I smell this fragrance, it generally smells like something you use for laundry, to do your laundry. But not just that. And yeah, let me just spray it. But before that, let me tell you that this is by far, hold on, because I think I have a cat here on my nose. This is by far the strongest clean fragrance I've ever tried in my life. And let me tell you before I'm telling you how it smells. So there I received it. I had to run some errands. I did one spray on my arm because I was wearing a different fragrance, but I was very excited to test it and see how it smells. And I was like, interesting. I kept getting whiffs of it throughout me running errands. And then at home, at nighttime, I was like, you know what? Let me try something different. Let me do 3 sprays of this fragrance and let me see how I feel about smelling clean when I go to sleep. Because I like to be clean when I go to sleep, but I like to smell like Bianco Latte, think Eclair, think Bianco White from Parfumat, think Nila Vanille, think Tiramisu Caramel, all the fragrances inspired by Bianco Latte. Those are my comforting night fragrances. And I did 3 sprays. Now, maybe it was my mistake because I did all 3 sprays concentrated in this area. One here, one here, one here. You guys, I kid you not. I couldn't fall asleep because the fragrance was too strong. After 1 hour and a half of me trying to fall asleep, and I kept getting, like, not even getting, no, like I was constantly surrounded by this fragrance, I just woke up and I had to change my pajamas. I had to get out of bed and I had to go and change my pajama because I couldn't sleep because of how strong this fragrance is. So yeah, is it a little bit too strong if you're not into clean fragrances? Definitely. Look, and also, let me just spray it. And after that I will talk about the fragrance. You know how this smells like this type of laundry detergent in powder version smells like, it's almost like you dip your nose in a bag full of that laundry detergent. You wash some of your linen clothing pieces, some of your cotton white t-shirt, you let them out to dry in the sun. So it smells on one hand like clean linen, like clean cotton t-shirts, like white clean cotton t-shirts dried in the sun that still have some of that laundry detergent lingering. Smells somehow a little bit dewy aquatic, at the same time a little bit musky. Surprisingly, as this fragrance develops, it starts to unexpectedly develop this almost like a cotton candy-ish bubblegummy facet. So it's something airy and sweet and fruity also. Something red, fruity, airy and sweet. Yeah, very interesting fragrance, you guys. And it's interesting how they managed to truly replicate the smell of a laundry detergent, but it doesn't smell just like clean clothes. It smells like clean clothes on steroids with something added. And to me, whenever I smell this fragrance, the vibe and the image I have of the woman who would wear such a fragrance, moral of duty vibes. Think minimal makeup, some gloss, because now glosses are becoming very popular again, some gloss on your lips, perhaps a bit of mascara, hair pulled back in a nice bun or with a clip in the background, you know, somehow like minimalistic outfits, but they look very put together. Again, oversized things, a purse here in her arm, I don't know, like generally this gives me moral of duty vibes. Minimal makeup, very put together chic outfit. You didn't try too hard, but you naturally feel elevated and chic, you know. Yeah, not that I fit that category or that aesthetic, because I like makeup. I don't like how I look with my hair in a bun, you know. But I'm telling you the kind of woman I have in my mind when I smell this fragrance. Yeah, effortlessly chic, effortlessly elevated luxury vibe, but very chic at the same time. Yeah, to me, now again, bear in mind, very strong. But if you have the budget for such a fragrance, and if you are looking for a fragrance that, let's just say, embodies the characteristics I've told you, I would recommend you to get a decant or get a sample. Do not blind buy, you guys, especially when it comes to fragrances at this price range or price point. Don't blind buy. Start with a sample, start with a decant, test it and see. I can tell you it's very edgy. Edgy edgy, just like a model is, you know, like when you see a model who's, I don't know, like 1 meter and 80 centimeters on the street with her hair pulled back, I don't know, like glossy, minimal makeup, glossy lips, a pouch here in her hand, an outfit that looks like, if you were to see that outfit on anyone else, it would look funny and weird, but on her it just looks elevated and chic and very running errands-esque. Yeah, that's the fragrance the person would wear. Let's move on to the last fragrance that I want to share my brief thoughts on. So the brand Iluminum, I have 2 decants, 2 samples, because these are samples. Someone sent them to me. If you're watching this video, thank you so much. Not that she sent them, she gave them to me anyways. Yeah, here it's Orange Blossom. And when I first read Orange Blossom, I was expecting to get a very a sweet, almost perhaps, why not, of a sugared Orange Blossom perhaps, with perhaps a bit of vanilla. I don't know why, something remotely similar to this fragrance, even though back then I didn't know this fragrance. But that's what I had in my mind, the sweet Orange Blossom. Also think Love Don't Be Shy from Kilian. But when I smelled this fragrance, this is one of those fragrances that in a way doesn't follow trends. It's in a category of its own. It's either a love or hate kind of fragrance, and you need to know how to pull off and how to rock such a composition, because otherwise it wears you instead of you wearing the fragrance. And surprisingly, it has such a creative development. But first things first, I took it out. Yeah, see, in the opening, I've smelled back in the day a fragrance that smells like the opening of this fragrance. I've smelled something besides this fragrance and something like wild raspberry blossom or something like this from this brand Iluminum. I haven't tried any other fragrances. I think this brand is based in UK. Yeah, made in England. Yeah, so this fragrance opens up with a dirty orange blossom. Think orange blossom, take a little bit of the leaves from the orange blossom tree, a little branches they're called, I think in English, a little bit of the branches also, to have this bitter green, something woodsy, paired with a sweet orange blossom, but the sweet orange blossom make it dirty, give it this animalic edge about it. And this is how the fragrance opens up with. But then as this fragrance starts to develop, it goes aromatic, it goes bitter green, it goes even more so dirty, a little bit earthy also, definitely quite woody, but it goes into somewhat of a chypre fragrance. You have this something floral with different aromatic and bitter green accents about it on a woody base. So this goes again quite witchy, you guys. For some reason, it reminded me of the vibe of fragrances like Noir from Lancôme, of Clinique's Aromatic Elixir from back in the day. Not in the opening, but in the heart and in the dry down. And not to say that they smell alike, as they do not, but it has the same somehow. Let me just close this because I don't want it to spill everywhere. I closed it because I was scared it's gonna drop and it's gonna spill everywhere. And this is the kind of fragrance that once it infiltrates into your carpet, into everything, you're not gonna be able to get out. You need to buy a new carpet, you know. I was surprised how green it gets. Dry green, keep in mind, not dewy leafy green, no, dry aromatics. Think dried herbs. I don't know, think something like dry and oak mossy, something a little bit bitter, some florals there. But overall, very dark and very, very bold, very mature for some reason to me. Mature for sure, 40 and above if you ask me. I think, or if you are younger than that, I think you need to have somewhat of a taste for this kind of blend to be able to wear it, to rock it. For me, it would be overpowering, you know. It would almost feel like you're wearing someone else's borrowed fragrance. So these are the fragrances I wanted to give you an update on, and also the fragrances I wanted to review them today. I was thinking to include some of the samples because besides Middle Eastern fragrances, I test a lot of different samples and decants done by different brands that are not really into the Middle Eastern niche. So yeah, if you are interested, I don't know, I could do more videos like these where I talk about other fragrances as well, because truthfully, as much as I love Middle Eastern fragrances and a lot of my all-time favorite fragrances are Middle Eastern fragrances, but my curiosity doesn't just stop there. I love fragrances in general. I love scents in general. I love different aromas in general. So I like to dip my toes into different categories, different price ranges, different scent profiles. I like to test different fragrances I would never wear. So I might do this kind of videos more. I know this channel is dedicated mainly to Middle Eastern fragrances, and I know that's why a lot of you are here. But at the same time, I kind of want to start mentioning some other fragrances, because look, for instance, this fragrance I am in love with, madly in love with, madly in love with, and it's not a Middle Eastern fragrance, but then it's not such an expensive fragrance either. So this is everything I wanted to tell you. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. If you want to tell me anything, please put it in the comment section, and I promise that I will get back to you. Let me close out the video. I will see you in my next video, but until then, I want to wish you an amazing day wherever you are. Bye, guys.